A few years ago, a small independent development team located in England called Bitmap Bureau set out to make a top-down arena-based shoot-'em-up in the vein of classic arcade games like Smash TV and Alien Syndrome. Just recently they finished the project up, releasing it on modern systems like the PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. And there are even a few classic systems in development, the Dreamcast and the Neo Geo. In this episode, we will be taking a look at the Sega Genesis version of the game, a 32 megabit cartridge that comes in a variety of styles and box art, and we answer the question, is this game worth a physical pickup for a 30-year-old system? The first thing you need to know is that the DNA of Xeno Crisis is built on modern twin-stick shooters. These kinds of games basically allow you to move around freely with the left stick while shooting in any direction with the right stick. The genre is loaded with many great games, and you do not have to look far to find something on every system for the past 20 years. This means that Xeno Crisis has a lot of competition that it has to prove itself against, particularly with its $20 digital pricing across the modern platforms. I loaded up the Genesis version not really having considered the twin-stick aspect of its gameplay. You have to remember that the machines of the time did not ship with analog controllers, much less one with two independent sticks. This means that the Genesis game must use face buttons for directional shooting. X is left, A is down, B is right, and Y is up. If you prefer to use the classic Genesis 3 button pad, you can choose the scheme that allows you to use a single button to shoot, forcing you to set your direction before firing with the D-pad. I won't beat around the bush here. Playing a game of this difficulty with these mapping schemes was extremely punishing on the first few plays. I just couldn't find any real rhythm or flow, and ate deaths a half a dozen times before I started to feel comfortable. You have the aforementioned shooting mechanics as well as a dodge roll to get you around your enemies quickly, a melee attack to handle things up close, and grenades to clear out big patches of enemies all at once. You have pretty much everything you need to be successful in this type of shoot 'em up, but the difficulty won't make it easy. I'd say even a decent player will need a good 8 to 12 hours to finish this on the hard difficulty setting. Fortunately, you get some help in the form of a shop that allows you to power up your character as the game progresses. You can increase movement speed, health, ammo, damage, and even buy extra continues beyond the default 3. Currency is collected by picking up dog tags during your battles, so be sure to try and get everyone you see. The difference between a powered up fighter and the default stats is pretty large. I think your mileage with this will greatly depend on your patience for these kinds of games. If you enjoy a good challenge and give games a chance to really grow on you, you'll enjoy the gameplay here. If you are easily frustrated and not particularly good at the genre, you may need some help from some of the cheat options. This extra options menu can give you unlimited lives, ammo, currency, and even a level select. If you are looking for a more casual experience, or want an easier way to practice levels that are giving you a problem, this is a great addition that can really help. This also really helped my daughter during 2-player sessions, mitigating the difficulty to far more manageable levels. One area where indie games really fall short is in their presentation. Often their graphics are much simpler than the games we received during the life of the system, but this is something that Xeno Crisis does not suffer. Its excellent animation, impressive color use, and enemy variety look more akin to an early Neo Geo title as opposed to the more modest Genesis. Enemies swarm the screen, and I never felt any slowdown or had any game-breaking bugs. The boss fights are particularly impressive, usually having tons of animations and taking up a huge amount of real estate on the screen. There's no doubt about it, Xeno Crisis is a good-looking game that really shows off what the old Genesis was capable of. The guy that did the art here was also responsible for the Psygnosis classic, Flink. You guys know me, I'm a big proponent of the Genesis sound chip. I loved how different it sounded compared to the samples punched out by its competition, and honestly think the very best music of the 16-bit generation was created on the Genesis. This is another area that small game development drops the ball on, either just ripping music from pre-existing games or creating sounds that are rougher than anything the old Gems driver produced. Again, the work in Xeno Crisis is above expectations, with the sound effects and voice samples coming across clear, and a soundtrack with strong variation in its rhythm and intensity. It isn't going to dethrone the likes of the very best on the hardware like Streets of Rage or Batman, but what is here is quite impressive and does the title proud. It was done by Savage Regime, who has a YouTube channel here with lots of great rearranged Genesis music that sounds awesome. I'll stick a link to his channel in the description, so be sure to give him a listen sometime.
All clear.
The replayability of this one isn't just based on its difficulty. There are 7 distinct levels in this one to master, and the best part is that they are randomly generated each and every time you play. No 2 play sessions will ever be exactly the same, and each level has its own set of enemies and dangers. There are also 10 different weapon types to find and use, including genre staples like a flamethrower, spread, and auto-seeking bullets. Basically, there is much here to see and master, and those later levels will challenge even the best of you. Xeno Crisis was developed to look, sound, and play like a 16-bit game, so the Genesis version here stacks up quite well against even the modern variations of the game. Most of the things that stick out on modern systems are the additional animations for things like emptying shells flying away from your weapon fire. There's also the widescreen presentation of the modern versions, which always shows your health, ammo, and currency information, whereas this information pops up on the Genesis when relevant, such as running out of ammo or taking damage. The nice thing about the Genesis game is the availability of a physical cartridge version. It's available in different styles, and it's always great to have access to new games for Sega hardware. Needless to say, I was pretty happy with how this turned out. It looks and sounds superb, with gameplay that is fun, fast, and responsive. If you enjoy a good shoot 'em up, I believe this is very much worth picking up on your preferred platform. The availability of physical Sega Genesis and Mega Drive versions sweetens the deal if you like having something on your shelf, and I will always encourage you to support quality games when they are done with so much love and passion from legitimate fans. I'm excited to see what Bitmap Bureau comes up with next. If I might have a moment to pass along a suggestion, you guys nailed the arena shooter so well, perhaps a crack at another arcade genre is in order. I'm Sega Lord X. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.